Listening to records on a Technics direct drive, it's as close as I can get to what I'm hearing in the master tapes when I'm working on a recording. I didn't know how they could improve on this. It was perfect in my mind, but they have. They've taken the direct drive motor, which they invented, and made it coreless with all the new improvements. My name is Michael Graves. I'm a mastering engineer, specialized in audio restoration and preservation. I do a lot of work with historical recordings where there are no master tapes. The vinyl source, those become the masters. So I have to transfer that digitally, and then I go through the process of audio restoration where I clean it up and remove as much noise as possible. I have to have a reference turntable at work, and the Technics gives me that, and always has given me that. The 10R, somehow they've made it better, and I don't know how they did it, but they've improved on this thing that I thought was pretty much perfect as it was. For one, it's just gorgeous to look at and feel, and the buttons are very responsive. They've improved the wow and flutter, which is the speed fluctuations, which is already virtually nothing in older machines. They've improved on that. They've improved on the noise floor has gone down also. Where this would fit in my studio and what I do on a regular basis, that I'm working with a lot of recordings where, again, they're super rare. There's only one or two known in the world. So when I digitize it, it's probably not going to be digitized again. So I want to make sure I get this right for posterity. So I don't want to be messing with a turntable that's not going to digitize it right. Because you might only get one pass with some of these records. As the needle goes over, some of the stuff might flaking up, and then it's gone for the ages. When I first started working with this kind of stuff, I had some lesser turntables with belts, and I realized that was a problem because there were speed issues. I would get into the audio restoration phase, and I might be 2 or 3 hours into a job before I realized, oh man, I've spent all this time on a project, and there's a pitch variation that I can't fix. That has to be done right the first time because there's no going back and fixing that. So then I started looking at Technics direct drive turntables, and it was just perfect in every sense. Perfect speed and almost no noise. If it sounds just like the master tape, everything's good. And 9 times out of 10, it does. And the times that it doesn't, it's not the turntable's fault. It's something in the pressing, which is why I'm such a fan of this turntable. So what we saw earlier, the SP-10R is interchangeable with the older models from the SP-10 Mark II and Mark IIIs. Now, if you want to put the new model into your older plinth, that'll fit, it'll be great. This is the SL-1000R, and it has the turntable and the power supply, but it also has this gorgeous plinth, tone arm, and the ability to add other tone arms. I'm looking forward to having this in my studio because not only did they function well and properly over time, they function well for such a long period of time. The turntables that I'm using are over 30 years old and they still operate perfectly. I rely on it every day at work for a perfect turntable, and I know when I turn it on, I'm going to get that. When I'm working on a recording, we never know how it's going to sound when it goes out in the world. Is it going to sound like it did in my studio? But I know that every time I put it on my Technics, it's always going to sound as close as possible to the original master that I worked on. The Technics is that. It's perfect in every way.